Dishmaya, guys, we're going to be learning in B'yam Darkecha, the Chanukah until Purim book, dealing with the idea of Shovavim, this period of time that we're right now in, the 6 weeks between the beginning of Parashat Shemot, Vayera, Bo, V'shalach, Yitro, Mishpatim. 6 weeks where our whole entire reading of the Torah is dealing with the revelation of Moses, and the redemption and the exodus of the nation of Israel leaving Egypt. And during this time, the Kabbalists set up a situation where all of us would be taking advantage of these 6 weeks that are dealing with the redemption of Egypt and the hardship that they went through and getting out of it, and match it with an opportunity, which is exactly the exact same story that's going on, as we're going to see a little bit, with an opportunity to rectify our Brit, with an opportunity to rectify our covenant with Hashem, which is mainly expressed by way of the pleasures in this world. And most specifically with the ideas of sanctity and how much pleasure we take in this world. But just to understand, first things first, before we go a little bit deeper into the idea of what is Shovavim and what we can do in this time, first things first, let's just explain what is going on in the Torah that at this time we're doing all of these tikkunim, all of these rectifications. So what's going on right now in the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim and the exodus of Am Yisrael from Egypt is what's going on with each one of us individually. The greatness of these days is very, very big. The reading of the Torah arouses this idea, so that we too will also merit to leave the subservitude, the the bondage of Egypt, right? To receive the Torah and to rectify everything. The Arizal explains that the whole entire reason that we went into Egypt was to rectify Tikkun Adam, rectify Adam Rishon that messed up his Brit. That was the whole entire reason we went into Egypt to begin with. So right now we're reading about coming out of Egypt. And in order to receive the Torah, it ends at Parashat Mishpatim, right? The 10 Commandments is Parashat Yitro. That's the second to last week. And then the week after that is tons of different laws after that. So the receiving of the Torah is the culmination of the whole entire process we're going through. Because the internal aspect of the bondage of Egypt is that Mitzrayim, Egypt, is a nickname to all the idea of the klipot in general, the husks, the things that cover up Hashem in this world, that want to cover up the godliness of everything. They're called therefore Egypt Mitzrayim, from the word Mitzar Yam, to constrict the sea. They constrict Yam HaChochma, right? The sea of wisdom. They live only from nature, from the reality of nature, and they completely ignore the internal aspect of the world. And then, since they're going to look at everything from a place of constriction, from a place of metzal, and they don't go deeper, therefore they don't get that there's godly light that's giving force and life force to everything inside the world right now. Because everything that they see with their eyes, and they are putting attention to only to the external aspect of everything. And when a person falls to the klipot, God forbid, and to the reality of nature, and he thinks that there's something good in it, then you get closed within the walls of Egypt, within the walls of Mitzrayim, meaning within the illusion of all of the klipot of this world. And then everything starts to get a lot harder, right? So this idea of being stuck in the klipot and being stuck in the pleasures of this world, or thinking that this world has anything to give us besides the light of Hashem that's hidden in everything, going after the things that we see with our eyes instead of going into the deeper aspect, that is what's called Galut. That's Mitzrayim. That's being underneath the control of the constriction of the revelation of Hashem's presence in everything, and unification in everything. And the way of getting out of Mitzrayim, the way of getting out of Egypt, is by way of the clarity of Emunah. Hashem hit the Egyptians. He hit the Egyptians to show them that Hashem, how true it is that Hashem rules the world. And completely nullified the reality of Teva, of nature. To prove and to show that the nature is not any power by itself. and to cause us to look deeper and to understand that only Hashem is the only true power. The second that the truth was revealed, Hashem's reality, then the whole entire klipa was nullified. Just like darkness is hidden and concealed by way of a revelation of light. You don't have to get rid of darkness. It completely goes away if you put light. Right? You don't have to fight the darkness. All you have to do is show light. You have to just reveal light, and then darkness, without even fighting it, it just goes away. Right? Right? When this happened, when everything was taken down, then it was revealed, and Egypt completely admitted to the truth, and they saw that Hashem, Yudke Vavke, Hua Elohim. He is the powers, he is nature, so to say, right? Hashem is nature. There is no separation between us. And then all of Israel came out of their control to become an auspicious nation and to reveal the Kedusha in the whole entire world. And the external world is not anything. All there is internal godliness, which is the essence of everything. And by way of the power of the hits, of the plagues, Am Yisrael came out of the klipa, out of the false and the vanity of the sheker of the klipa completely. And they completely understood the world from a proper perception, that God is the internal aspect of everything. So B'ezrat Hashem, when we read these parashiot now, right? When we read these parashiot of Shemot, Vayira, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim, these next 6 weeks, then this whole entire idea of the redemption and the getting out of Egypt is re-aroused in the world. And we receive immense power, like we speak about every time we get to a holiday, right? That same thing that happened back then is what's being revealed in the world right now. So what's the energy of the world coming down right now? The ability to get out of the hold of Egypt, the hold of Mitzrayim on our life. The ability to look into the world deeper.
That's the suggestion. Like any man here, just turn off your phone from like 9 p.m. until like 8 a.m.
And that's exactly what we want to do. Is right now, by way of the learning of the Torah, B'ezrat Hashem, to see how to do that. So B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to go a little bit deeper into understanding it. What is the depth of a brit? What is a covenant? What are these things that we're dealing with? What are we coming to rectify? What are we trying to pay attention to? L'chaim, l'chaim. Tov, what is a brit? What is a covenant? The depth is liskot le'emunah mucheshet u'vihira. To merit to tangible, clear emunah, and to live with Hashem, and to be with Him, and in His inheritance, and He will dwell upon us His shechina, His presence. There's a lot of depth here, because in this word of leaving the klipot, leaving all of the hardships of this world and the things that cover up the truth, to live our life with Hashem, there's a lot of depth that's going on here. It's not only some practical thing that you do in action. To leave the bad things in life and to choose Hashem. There's some deep work here. It's to get to a point that you recognize the unity of Hashem, and you will understand there's nothing besides Hashem, like it's written on my hoodie. And the klipot, they have nothing at all to themselves. Not only will they leave the bad, you'll not only leave the bad, you recognize that there's nothing in it anyway. Not only that you're going to connect to Hashem now and you're going to have pleasantness and enjoyment in doing that. You'll recognize that Hashem is the only true pleasure in the world. And this is what Hashem promised to Abraham Avinu. I will be for you a God, I'll be for you Elohim, and for your children after you. That we will recognize that Hashem, He is nature. Right? Nature is Hashem. It's all one. There's nothing besides Hashem. The depth of emunah is not only to believe and to know that Hashem created the world. That Hashem is the king of the world and He's completely ruling it. And to know that it's not only stopping there, Hashem is everything. There's nothing besides Him. There's no other reality besides Him. What is this intention? What does this mean? It's not only that there's nothing besides Him, there's no reality, there's nothing that can exist by itself without Hashem. Meaning, before the creation, there was only Hashem. So too after the creation, like the Balatanya says a million times.
Is that where you were at Socher today?
The eternal truth is that all there is only Hashem. All that we see of physical creations and materialism in this world, we have to understand they don't have their own power. They live by way of the abundant light of Hashem coming down, that Hashem is illuminating them at any given moment. And we are getting checked here. In our head, every single Jew believes this, that there's nothing besides Hashem. But to feel it actually in your heart, that takes a lot of work. There's a lot of levels. How much does a person recognize the unity of Hashem and His reality and everything? Do you really know that there's nothing besides Hashem? Do you think there's other things in the world as well? How do you check this? How does a person look at things that are permissible but not mandatory? These are the things that the Torah permitted us to use. If a person thinks in his heart that they have something, some kind of power themselves, and they have some kind of benefit and good them alone, this is a little bit of heresy. Because what you're really saying at the core of what you're saying is that there's something besides Hashem. Therefore the Torah commanded us, Kedoshim to you. You guys have to be holy, you have to be sanctified. What does that mean? The rabbis say, Kadesh atzmecha bemutar lecha. Sanctify yourself by way of the things that you're permitted to do. We have to sanctify, meaning we have to elevate and we have to make more holy the things that we are allowed to do. Even there. When a person enjoys or uses, for example, the wine that we're drinking now, you have to understand and feel that the wine itself, the mixture of grapes and water and sugar and everything, it itself is nothing. It has no real reality by itself. All of the good and the pleasure and the nice feeling that we get from it, it's the light of Hashem that's hidden inside. And what is now then the Brit? How does this all connect? Why are we talking so much about food and this? And obviously you can connect to food, to drink, to smoking, to relations, to everything in life, right? Things that we're allowed to do. When it comes to things that we're not allowed to do, we're not even going there, right? It's forbidden. But then there's things that we're allowed to do, and then we have work to do there. So what does this all have to do with Shovavim, of Tikkun HaBrit, of rectifying my Brit and all this? Let's see. This is the complete idea of the whole idea of the Brit. When the klipot are not successful in completely getting you to leave your faith and your loyalty to Hashem, then at least what they're trying to do is to get you to defile and to blemish the depth of your emunah and the unity of Hashem. Meaning, there's very fine klipot, there's these very fine husks, shemifatim et ha'adam lachshov, that seduce a person to think, or at least to feel that there is some kind of good besides Hashem, God forbid. And they pull the person to enjoy from the pleasures of this world, from drinking, smoking, anything else, right? והם אומרים לו, מה חסרון יש בדבר? What's wrong with this? הרי אלו הם הנאות מותרות. They're completely permissible. What's wrong with this? They're completely permissible. אבל באמת מונח בזה פגם דק באמונה. But really there's a very fine blemish here in your אמונה. שהאדם חושב שיש טוב ותענוג חוץ מהשם יתברך. That a person thinks that there is good and pleasure besides Hashem יתברך. וכמו שהברית הוא לכרות את הקליפות הגסות, and just like the brit, right, just in the covenant, right, we have to cut off the thick klipot, meaning the foreskin that you completely remove, שמסתירות לגמרי את המלכות השם יתברך מציאותו, it completely conceals the kingship of Hashem and his reality. כך במדרגה גבוהה יותר מהברית צריך לתקן גם את הקליפות הדקות שמסתירות את ייחוד השם. So it's on a finer level. We have to rectify the thinner, what's called priya, the thinner membrane that also, it's a thinner membrane, but it also covers the crown. And it also covers up the revelation of Hashem. כאשר אדם זוכה לזה, when a person merits to do this, מקיימים את חלקו בברית, and you hold your side of the covenant with Hashem until the end, ומתקן גם את הקליפות הדקות, and you rectify also the finer membrane, right? Then you have complete revelation of godliness, everything to you. It's going to be very deeper. And you're going to merit to feel and to live and have a tangible reality that there's nothing besides Hashem. And to recognize this even more and more and more. That there's no reality besides Hashem. And then you're able to cling to Hashem and to have pleasure, immense pleasure in Hashem. From a recognition that Hashem is the good. Hashem hu atov. וגם בכל ההנאה הגשמית, and also in all physical pleasures. הוא יבין שלדבר הגשמי מצד עצמו, this thing by itself, the wine by itself, אין שום טעם ושום חיות, it has no flavor, it has no life, it has no vitality, וכל הטעם שמרגישים הוא רק הניצוץ האלוקי שמחיה אותו. Everything that we feel, everything that we taste, everything that we enjoy from it, is only from the godly spark that's inside it. וזוהי אמיתת קדושת הברית, להבין ולהשיג שאין כלום חוץ מהשם יתברך. This is the idea of sanctity of the Brit, sanctifying your Brit, to understand and to acquire this knowledge that there's nothing besides Hashem. וממילא לראות ולהרגיש בכל דבר רק את האור השם יתברך שמסתתר בו. And in everything that you're going through, only to feel Hashem, the reality of Hashem that's hidden there. ולרצות אותו, רק אותו, to only want Him, to only want to enjoy from Hashem. מתוך הכרה שהשם יתברך הוא המהות והפנימיות והכל, Hashem is the internal aspect of everything, ואין כלום חוץ ממנו. And there's nothing besides Him. וזהו סוד הפרייה שאמרו חז"ל. This is the secret of what's called priya. Right, just to give he's going to explain it here, but just to give a little bit of a background, right? That when a baby does a brit milah, there's 3 steps to the brit milah. Okay? There's the point where they take away the foreskin. Then there's a thinner membrane that they split and they push to the sides. And then there's the revelation of the crown. Okay? There's 3 stages in the Brit Milah. There's the foreskin that completely covers up. That we get away with completely. Then there's the thinner membrane that we split, we push to the sides in order to reveal the crown. Right? So this is exactly what we're talking about. The first stage is getting rid of everything, the klipa, complete klipa, thick klipa, pig, breaking Shabbat, things that are completely forbidden, non-kosher food, all these different things, right? Got to get completely away with that. And then we have what we're mainly talking about, which is kadesh tatzmecha mutar lecha, sanctify yourself by way of the things that you're permitted to have. That is the stage of priya. That's the stage of the thinner membrane, okay? וזהו סוד הפרייה, שאמרו חז"ל, מל ולא פרה, כאילו לא מל. If they did a brit milah and they didn't do priya, they didn't split the thinner membrane, it's as if no one did any brit at all. It's as if you did nothing to the baby. The Zohar explains, Shoah priya hi klipat noga. The Zohar explains that that skin of the priya is the klipa of noga. Just to explain, there is what's called kedusha, holiness, sanctity. That means drink this wine because I commanded you to make kiddush. Everything about that glass of wine is holiness. Then there's this glass of wine, which is what's called klipat noga. which is a klipa. It's already klipa. It's already concealment, right? But it depends on my intention of where I take it. I could elevate it up and it'll become kuf as well in Kiddusha, holiness, shiur Torah, drinking is with the right mindset. Or I can take it down to a lower state, trying to get drunk, trying to get some benefits from it, thinking that the wine is good and the wine gives me something. That is, we'll take it down. And then there's non-kosher wine, which is from the 3 klipot, which you're not even allowed to touch it. The way you fight that and the way you break that klipa is by not enjoying it. By not touching it. All non-kosher wine. Right? So this priya, this is this thin klipa that's called noga. This is a thin klipa that you don't have to cut it off completely. You have to cut it, you have to split it. You have to split it, push it to the sides, and include it into your kedusha. And the explanation of this is the whole idea of noga is all of the things that are permissible, anything that is optional, right? You can eat, you cannot eat, you can drink, you cannot drink, you can do all these things, you can eat this, that, or the other. Halacha permits you to do a ton of things, right? Some of them you have to, Shabbat meals, and some of them there's levels of how much you indulge in them, right? The internal idea is that even though I don't have to completely get rid of these things that are permissible, but they're not mitzvahs, but they're also not completely forbidden, I don't have to get rid of them completely. Even though it's the case, I have to sanctify them, I have to elevate them. וההבנה שאין בהם שום הנאה וכוח עצמי, אלא לראות בתוכם את אור השם יתברך. Meaning that I have to use them only according to the need. מתוך הכרה וההבנה שאין בהם שום הנאה וכוח עצמי. And to use them from an understanding and a recognition that they have no power and no pleasure by themselves, אלא לראות בתוכם את אור השם יתברך. But I have to see inside that thing the light of Hashem. Therefore, mal velo para ki ilu lo mal. Therefore, a person who does the Brit Milah takes away the forbidden things, but doesn't sanctify the things that he's allowed to do, right? That person, it's as if he didn't do a Brit Milah. Ki chayvim litkadesh b'mutar. You have to sanctify yourself by way of the things that are permitted to you. Ki acheret adam nofel lemachshava nogedet et yichudo litbarach. If not, then you fall down to a place of thinking thoughts that are against the unity of Hashem. And this is like the foreskin itself to do that. It's like a finer, less grave way of falling into the klipa, right? Oh, I'm allowed to do it. Yeah, but there's a limit there too. It's not a free for all. You're allowed to do it, but there's a proper way. There's a way to do it. There's a way to think about it. There's a limit to it. It's not just whenever I want, how much I want. You don't have to be careful only of complete sins. Also to the things that are permittable, those also have a hold of the klipa on them. We have to be careful to not fall, God forbid. Right? We want to get to a point where everything that we feel is giving us force in life, all of our vitality is coming from Hashem. We don't want to make it feel that the juice, if I don't have the juice, if I don't go to the mikveh, if I don't do this, if I don't do that, then I don't have the life force of Hashem. All those things, including the mikveh, right? I specifically said that, right? All those things are optional. You're not commanded to go to the mikveh, and you're not commanded to smoke a joint, right? There's also no halacha against them, these things, right? If it's done in the proper way, everything can be fine, but we have to be very careful because the klipa also has hold on these things. So now we're going to get a little bit down more into maaseh, into a little bit more into understanding how to work with these things. If we just to clarify, right? We have the 3 stages: removing of the foreskin, the splitting of the thinner membrane called priya, and then the revelation of the crown. That all of them are practical work that we need to do. From one side, lichot klipot, we have to completely cut off klipot. and to completely move from things that are forbidden. Not only that, to reveal godliness also in the things that are permissible. On the other side, we have to also get to another level of feeling and having a relationship with Hashem and recognizing the reality of Hashem. To get to a higher level of to be to you a God. Right? Again, what is the covenant between Hashem and Avram? What is the whole idea of the covenant? Hashem says to Avram, I will be for you a God, for you and forever. What do I want you to do? Sanctify yourself. Our job is to sanctify ourselves. When we do that, Hashem will be a God to us. Meaning, we have to get away from Klippa. The more we move away from Klippa, the more Hashem is revealed, and He will always be there for us, and He will show up in everything that we're going through in life. That's the two sides of the contract, right? Humans, sanctify yourself. God, reveal yourself, right? So the more we sanctify ourselves and we move away from the Klippa, then we're going to have more godly revelations and more intimate connection to Hashem in everything that we're doing. We have to separate ourselves from it. Without getting away from the things of the pleasures of this world, not completely, but doing work on this every day, it's impossible to get to a completely clean heart. This is only a condition, right, to get to merit to the Brit. Tikkun HaBrit. What is the main thing to rectify your Brit? What is the main way to do it? To return to the relationship with Hashem and to live with Him. You want to fix your Brit? That is the number one way. Our work in these times is to go up a level in all three levels of the Brit. And we have to hold all of these levels together. First things first, take upon yourself another fence, another distancing from things that are forbidden. Velo stam, not just, I'm going to do something. From a recognition that there's nothing in them besides Hashem. All of the pleasure that you get from them are vanity, they're false, and they're completely bad. So bad things, first work that we have to do is the things that are completely forbidden. We have to separate ourselves from them further and further. Try to put up another fence. Don't have a filter? B'ezrat Hashem, try to get a filter. You don't have this, you don't have that, whatever it is, things that are forbidden, you have to try to up another step towards going away from them. 2. Take for yourself something that is permissible, something that's optional, something from Klipat Noga, right? Devar hamutar ve'anitzrach, something that is not only permissible, it's needed. Kagon eze machal anitzrach lo, like a certain food. Uvo yachlit, that you need though, a food that you need, not a snack, right? Right? And a meal, right? And then make a decision to try very hard to completely remove the externalities of it and to feel only the light of Hashem that's hidden inside. And to recognize and to contemplate and to feel that only the light of Hashem is the only true good in the world. And drill into yourself that Hashem, He is everything. And therefore all of the pleasure, it's only from Him. Third most important thing to do, take upon yourself to work hard, to merit, to live the reality of Hashem and His unity in a clear and tangible way, and to search out and to feel only the sweetness and the pleasure in the service of Hashem and all of the dveikut that we're able to get to it by way of that. Nearly done, last little section. And by way of a little bit, the person will reveal a lot of the internal aspects. A person shouldn't be taken back and say to himself in his heart, How am I going to get straight away to a level where I have nothing in my life besides Hashem and all my vitality is from Him and I'm not taking any pleasure from anything else? I'm thinking, how am I going to get to there straight away? Ne'emana. No. It's a loyal check. If a person starts to make progress in this and take upon themselves different resolutions in this, even if it's a little bit, the second you take upon yourself a little resolution, you're already considered a Baal Tshuva. It's as if you're coming to Hashem, and you already came to Hashem with your whole entire heart. You really want to institute something in your life that's going to limit you from something of this world in order to bring you closer to Hashem, you're already there. You're already at Hashem, if you're dealing with those kind of thoughts in your day and applying them, right? By this, you're declaring to the world, my internal will is only towards Hashem. But it takes me time until I'm going to be able to do this completely in a revealed way, in an actual way. Hashem is very happy by way of this. The rabbis already said, Hashem didn't give the Torah to the angels, the supernal angels up above. Right? All of the hearts seek out Hashem, and all of the inclinations and the thoughts understand. And everybody who tries hard, according to where they're at, to connect to Hashem, to have a deeper relationship with Him, to pull and to feel vitality only from Hashem, and to turn to Hashem and take all of your pleasure and all of your passion only towards Him. That's from a recognition that there's nothing besides Hashem. You will merit to see the light of Hashem Yitbarach. The gates of light will open up for you. The gates of emunah and dvekut will open up for you. You will merit to a life filled of illumination, filled with pleasure, true pleasure. Bezat Hashem. And I'm not going to read the chapter, right? But just to mention, there is in the next chapter, teaches you how to run away from the klipot. What are the things you need to do in order to get away from the klipot? First thing he brings here is tefillah. You need to pray to Hashem about this. The next thing is Torah b'dveikut v'retzifut. Learning Torah for the sake of connecting to Hashem and learning it uninterrupted. Take for yourself 2 hours in your day, or whatever it is. You say, okay, I can't do it every day, but on Wednesday I'm going to have 2 hours where I sit down, I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't talk to anybody, I don't stop, I don't get distracted, no phone in the room, nothing. 2 hours of non-stop Torah, right? And what else do we have here? To speak to Hashem, obviously, talk to Hashem about everything you're going through, and thoughts and contemplations, thoughts on different names of Hashem, and holy thoughts on different things, and to understand the real idea of pleasure. What is pleasure? Why am I seeking pleasure? What am I trying to do? And what is pleasure? It's the light of Hashem being revealed down in this world, and the more I tap into that, that's the more I'm going to get out of it. And Bezat Hashem, may this help us all to get out of Egypt, to get out of our own personal Egypts that we're all in, and to recognize that if I'm ever taking pleasure from this world, minimum, I'll at least recognize that what I'm taking pleasure from, even if it's coming by way of something physical, is the spark of Hashem that's hidden inside that thing. And the more that I do that, the more that I practice it. And this goes for everybody. You don't have to be some tzaddik, you don't have to be on a high level. You have to recognize and know that every Jew does already know that Hashem is the core of everything in the world. He is everything. Enod milvado, there's nothing besides Him. And once you know that, and you recognize that you know that, just start to be more conscious of it. And by way of little bit, by little bit, right, like we said, you take upon yourself a resolution to stop doing something or to do something else, more positive thing, right? Already you're holding at that level as if you do it, right? So B'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, may we all be blessed, and we all leave Mitzrayim b'meira v'yameinu amen.
Amen.